The new F1 23 gameplay trailer has dropped. This basically does a deep dive into the features of this game, which we already had confirmed a couple of weeks ago, but basically gives us a bit more detail on how the process worked. Now, I'm sure you've seen the trailer. We're not going to play it because it's 5 minutes long. The video would just be so long if I had to run that trailer in full. So we're just going to basically break it down and talk about a few of the key things I noticed from it. Now, to be fair, there's not a hell of a lot to kind of dissect. Basically, Natalie Pinkham in the background gives an explanation how they've kind of revamped the game and changed some of the features, starting off with the gameplay in this deep dive. Now, as we've already had confirmed, the new features in this game are the 35% race distance, handling and physics being essentially vastly improved, overhauled based off real-life F1 team feedback, new tracks and red flags. I won't lie, I was hoping for a bit of my team information in this trailer, but that wasn't the case. I still hope, or I'm trying to remain hopeful, that we do get some improvements to the My Team mode. But for now, we'll focus on these 4 points, which is basically what we already had confirmed, but they go into a bit more detail in this video.
F1 23 delivers a universal leap forward in gameplay with innovation to the vehicle physics engine for improvements to handling, low-speed traction and overall drivability.
Long story short, basically, the key thing this year is traction. Traction is going to be vastly improved. That was a big issue in last year's game. Everyone hated how traction worked. The fact you could sometimes get wheel spin like 4th or 5th gear was pretty ridiculous, and that's pretty much been ironed out. So I think you're going to have basically a lot better traction, a lot smoother traction, consistent traction and predictable traction in this year's game. Along with that, that is going to give a bit of a different feeling to turning, because of course you're going to have a much more stability on the rear. And they also mentioned they refined the brake system. So pretty much we're going to get a pretty big change on the driving front. And to be fair, this is a key element, because if the game has similar features or is pretty much in line with F1 22 and doesn't really present many new things, the experience of playing the game and driving can be made a lot better if the physics are improved. So I really hope this is a step in the right direction. I mentioned before that, I drove the 2023 Alfa Romeo in F1 22 in the DLC which they released, which was public to everyone, and some people say placebo, some people say there's no difference. I'm going to stick to my opinion. To me, the car feels different, quite a bit different, and I could feel way more traction. The car would just not spin, and there was a touch more understeer, which also goes in line with that traction change. So I personally feel like if that 23 Alfa Romeo DLC and 22 is anything to go by, we are going to get much better, more consistent and enjoyable handling and performance this year.
The cars was also improved to make interactions with curbs and rumble strips more true to life. You'll really feel all of this new handling detail through a force feedback steering wheel.
They also go on to mention that curbs are different. Now, they kind of explained that the changes happen via the way the wheels basically, interact with the tarmac and also the curbs and just generally the inertia and how the entire system runs. They do mention that the way the car responds over curbs is different this year, which is a big thing because curbs in 22 were a bit unpredictable. I kind of liked it, but I kind of didn't like it. There were some curbs that were just not fun to drive. If you look at real-life footage and the real-life cars, they basically smash and drive all over the curbs and pretty much have no trouble. So I just basically hope we get a much more smoother experience where the cars can lean on the curbs and be much more aggressive, and we can really push the cars a bit more and use all of the track, which, should be more like it. I mean, on 22 you can, for example, brake on a curb and the car bottoms out and you lock up and you go straight on. That doesn't seem to happen in real life. It just never seems to happen at all. So I really want to see that kind of change take place, and it does sound like they're addressing it and doing those changes, to be fair, to good effect.
Introducing precision drive controller technology in F1 23, a transformative controller input tech to enable a more precise and rewarding driver experience on standard controllers.
Now, to be fair, they, make all these mentions, and this is all for the wheels, so you're going to get a great experience. But again, pad players, not alone, precision drive technology. Very keen to see how this works. I might actually try some races on the pad, especially once launch comes around, especially with some open lobbies and stuff, to just see exactly what has changed, because I feel like the experience on the pad is pretty decent, but I'm not a regular pad player anymore, so I'm keen to see exactly how much of a change this really does. But the footage they're showing in the background is basically wheel settings as the way we do them, the way we run them, but for a controller. I'm not sure if this was in the game already, to be fair. Like I said, I don't use the pad, but this is the wheel settings menu. So if the pad's going to get that level of customization, that's really, really awesome. Now then, 35% race distance, which is, it's a pretty simple one, really. Self-explanatory, not really any big need to kind of go into detail. We're going to get another option. I just hope they haven't secretly taken one away, which is what I fear, and it's basically just an extra on top of what we already have. Now then, red flags, again, another one we've addressed, and to be fair, it's not technically a new feature, it's a returning feature, but a great one to have nonetheless, because it's going to add to the experience and should be a lot of fun. Now to be fair, we get a pretty cool look at how it works in game, and also we'll talk about this in a bit, but the HUD has been completely reworked like in real life, which is really, really cool to see. But as you can see at the top of the screen, it says red flag, race suspended, cars to line up in pit lane. We get the countdown, and as I thought, it's just a fade to black and red flag, session stopped, and you get the race strategy option, which opens up the kind of tyre strategy screen. It gives you the chance to change your tyres, also repair damages, and basically start from scratch. Small thing to add, caveat, Natalie says repair some damage. So that tells me that certain damage, maybe floor damage or diffuser, is not repairable, but front wing is. That's what I get from that. Again, you can adjust the sensitivity, pretty obvious thing to do, especially when you have that option for safety cars and, you know, other stuff like the formation lap as well. To have that customizability, that's always key. And finally, we get confirmation of the new tracks, Las Vegas and Qatar. Now, to be fair, they're just new tracks. It's not a game-breaking feature. Once we've driven on them for like a week, it will feel pretty normal. But to be fair, fair play, they look incredible. I mean, especially Las Vegas, which has so much around it. I'm impressed this level of detail has gone into it, and they've already got it done. That's really, really awesome. I mean, this shot right here, this is fair play. This is incredible. I'm not sure what graphics settings this is on or what PC this is running on, but it looks fantastic. Qatar looks awesome. Big fan of that circuit personally. I always love racing there. I've loved it from MotoGP. I love it in F1 as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks at night as well. And then we get a nice view of the pit straight at night, which is what I was waiting for. And it looks very, very nice. Big fan. Can't wait to drive it. And to be fair, they've done an excellent job with Qatar. I mean, look at this. Mainly just the amount of lights I can see on track, of course. Other buildings surrounding it. Ultimately is in the desert, so there's not a lot to really add, so they can really focus on detail around the paddock area and the track itself. But visually, looks incredible. They're really pushing the kind of old generation consoles to the maximum they can in terms of visuals in this game. And pretty much confirmation we're going to get Paul Ricard, China and Portimao as extras. But anyway, that's the trailer breakdown. Let's talk about a few things I noticed in this one. Let's talk about a few of these details that us F1 fans like to talk about, because that's ultimately what we're here for. So in this trailer, we're going to basically point out those cars that are finished right now, because so far we've only really seen the FOM My Team car for every single, you know, livery and team skin, but gradually you're seeing changes come into place. So as of right now, in this trailer, I could spot cars that finished are the Alfa Romeo, the Aston Martin, the Williams, the Red Bull, and also the Alpine. So 5 cars that I could spot that seem to be finished. I'll have one more double check now, but I'm pretty sure 5, so half the grid so far, is complete. Okay, so one more car which I missed is the Alpha Tauri. There's a few shots where it shows the My Team version, and the actual final version is confirmed as Singapore. So 6 cars done, 4 to go. Mercedes, Ferrari, Haas and McLaren are the ones that I could not spot to be finished at any point in the trailer. Even like a little kind of secondary shot, I couldn't see that. So yeah, gradually we're getting that done, but as you can see, 6 different cars. So next up, something I haven't spoken about but is public knowledge to other channels and other content out there, but steering wheels this year are different, and to be fair, this year you can actually probably drive in cockpit view quite easily, because there's a lot of information now displayed on the dash for you, and in a much more, I'd say, simple way to understand. So you've got the lap counter on the left, your speed, and also left side tyre temps, right side tyre temps, along with position. In the top right you have your pace and also delta, which you're aiming for, and then top center is going to be lap time currently that you're on, your gearing, and then the overtake button and your harvest and deployment controls on the battery. So literally everything that you would have on screen in an OSD or a HUD is all nice and tightly compact fitted onto a little screen on the wheel. So very big fan of that. Now next up, another thing everyone loves to talk about and we're all big fans of is track updates, circuit updates. What changes have they done? So the big one in this trailer, which I'll kind of put some examples up across screen at various times, is Austria. That has been completely redone. You can tell, even in their own comparisons when they show side-by-side footage, but basically complete overhaul of Austria. They've even got the MotoGP layout as an extra there as well, and all the curbs look much better in terms of, they're much flatter, better to drive. And on the topic of flatter curbs, actually, this screenshot of Canada really stood out to me because the final chicane, those two inside curbs look super flat, way less aggressive than last year's game, which tells me again, going back to what they said in the kind of handling physics section, the curbs are better to drive on, and I do believe that's actually the case because they visually across the trailer, if you look at the tracks, they all seem a lot flatter and a lot less menacing. But pretty much, guys, that is going to be it where I draw the line. I don't see much more. The footage in the trailer was very similar in terms of they showed the same tracks over and over. So Imola, Austria, Brazil, pretty much in a loop, and then there's a few shots, once off here and there, like Spa, Zandvoort. They would show them once or twice, but for the most part, it was those three circuits that were kind of constantly on a loop, along with, of course, Qatar and also Las Vegas at the end. So, yeah, guys, that is going to be it for this trailer. That's all I could really gather from this. It's basically more of the same information we've already had, but basically longed out a bit. So, yeah, guys, I'll leave the trailer down below if you haven't seen it. Go check it out. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you like and subscribe, I'm going to be posting daily F1 content when this drops, guys. I'm going to be as fast as possible to the latest breaking news, so get subscribed to the channel, guys. And yeah, we'll be covering F1 23 in its entirety, and we've also got exclusive early access gameplay coming soon. So like I said, get subscribed for that because I can't wait. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. As always, a big shout out to the channel members for supporting the channel and the content. As always, check out the two videos on screen if you haven't seen them already, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Take care, and let's go back from me.